Am I the a-hole for telling my friend she is ungrateful about being a stay-at-home mom? The other day, I went to lunch with 4 mom friends of mine. I'm a mom and so is one of the other moms. Of the other 3, one works part-time and the other 2 full-time. One of the moms that works full-time mentioned about how they had started to pay for a cleaner to come in every other week. They both work full-time and have 2 kids and were finding they couldn't keep up with all the chores. The other mom was agreeing with her about finding it difficult to keep the house clean when her husband does only a few chores inside the house. She told us her husband's main jobs are cooking dinner, cleaning the bathrooms, and looking after the yard. In my opinion, that's a more than fair distribution of chores considering her husband works full-time. They have 1 child, 10F, and no pets. I mentioned to her that it actually sounded pretty fair and that my husband has 0 cleaning chores and mostly only cooks on the weekends if he wants. I told her as he works full-time to provide for our family, I consider it my job to do the majority of the household chores. This isn't gender-related in my opinion. If we both worked I would agree about splitting chores equally, or if I worked and he didn't I would be expecting him to do the majority of the housework. I have 5 children, the youngest 2 aren't in school and I'm a carer for my husband's grandmother, yet still it's easy to set aside a couple hours a day for household chores. She strongly disagreed with me and she thinks her husband should be doing more and told me couples should split housework equally. I told her that I think she's being ungrateful to her husband who allows her to be a mom even now their child is older. I asked her what she does all day if she expects him to do half the chores and that she just wants an excuse to be lazy. In the end lunch was ruined. She called me anti-feminist and an asshole. 2 of our friends took her side telling me off for judging her. Am I the a-hole for showing up at my sister's party after her miscarriage despite knowing that I couldn't drink and people would suspect I was pregnant? My name is Kayla and I'm 22F. My sister, Leah, who's 25, unexpectedly had a miscarriage a week ago. I felt especially guilty because I recently had found out I was pregnant as well. I felt guilty, so I elected to keep quiet about it for as long as I could, as I didn't want to take any attention away from her grief or cause her any pain. This became a problem when my family arranged a little get-together at her place to help her feel better, where alcohol was to be involved. The night was going fine, and my sister really seemed to be smiling and enjoying herself. I was staying away from the beer and vodka, kinda shutting down the strange looks from my family/friends, who know I almost never turn down the opportunity to drink. Most were believing my lies except my sister's friend, Ash, who came up to me and asked, "Are you pregnant or something? Why aren't you drinking?" I laughed and said I had to watch out for my health and, trying to change the subject. My sister saw us talking however, and came up with a shot in her hand. She basically said that she was really glad I was here and wanted to take a shot with me. I had a feeling that Ash had told her I wasn't drinking and had come to confirm her suspicions. I turned her down and said that I was just happy to be in the moment with her. Leah got this teary look on her face and kinda eyed my stomach. She set the drink down and asked me slowly if I was pregnant and trying to hide it. I froze in the moment, which must have basically confirmed what she was suspecting. She burst into tears and asked again, much louder this time, which caused most of the people in her apartment to look at us. She told me to either drink the shot or tell her the truth. I wasn't sure what to do, so I opted to just tell her the truth. I tried to tell her that I didn't really want to take any attention away from her pain, but she wasn't listening. She started accusing me of coming to her apartment to boast about my pregnancy and how I always got what I wanted. She also said that shouldn't have come to the party knowing that I couldn't drink and that I obviously knew that people were going to know I was pregnant. Basically going on about how I was attention-seeking. At this point our dad stepped in to calm her down cause she was belligerent at this point. At that point me and my boyfriend decided it was better for us to just leave. She's not really talking to me right now, which I kind of understand, but at the same time all I really wanted was to be there for her. People are more so leaning in her side because she's going through a hard time right now, but I feel like I'm not being listened to. My mom told me that she understands but that it was wrong of me to come knowing I was pregnant. Am I the a-hole for letting my vegan nephew eat meat and dairy during his visit? My sister, Rachel, 42F, and her husband, Frank, 43M, decided to go on a couples retreat for their anniversary over the summer. Rachel is my only sibling and her son, Bennett, 15M, is my only nephew. Because we live on opposite sides of the country, I only get to see them in person once every couple of years. Since I, 36M, had recently moved to a beach town, Rachel and Frank suggested that Bennett could come for a visit. I was excited by the idea and told Rachel to send me an email with everything I needed to know. The email contained the name and contact number of the couple's retreat and flight information, as well as recipes for several vegan dishes. Rachel and Frank are very into veganism and New Age spirituality. Not my cup of tea, but no judgment. Though I usually eat a high-protein diet, I resign myself to cooking vegan meals for the week that Bennett stayed with me. His flight landed late in the evening, after which we watched a movie and ate some popcorn before going to bed. The next day, I took Bennett to the grocery store to get some snacks and give me more ideas for things to make. He asked what I would normally cook for guests. I told him I enjoyed grilling and would usually make burgers, pork chops, steak, and seafood. Bennett said all of that sounded great and told me not to go to any trouble on his account. I was surprised and told him I thought he was vegan. He said his parents were vegan and that he eats whatever they put in front of him. However, Bennett claimed he didn't care about any of that stuff and would be happy to eat what I eat. Rachel's email never said Bennett had to eat vegan food, so I loaded up the shopping cart with various meats to grill. Bennett also threw in a couple tubs of ice cream. I had a great time with Bennett and was sad to see him go. Rachel told me later that the visit was the highlight of his summer. Everything seemed well until a few days ago, when I posted some pictures from Bennett's visit on my Facebook page, one of which showed Bennett tearing into a pile of steamed shrimp. Rachel called a few hours later and angrily accused me of trying to undermine their values. I told her she never said that Bennett had to keep a vegan diet and said she needed to discuss this with him. She said I should have known better and asked if I would serve pork to a kid from a Jewish or Muslim family. I told her that veganism isn't a religion and she should have made her expectations clear. Am I the a-hole for leaving up a picture that angers my mill? I, 25F, married my husband Joe, 27M, 4 months ago. We dated all through high school and college, so we have been in each other's lives and in each other's families for quite some time. Joe's father died when we were seniors in high school, and his sister Jill died 3 years ago. Since then, his mother, Jean, has been, in my opinion, unhinged. I cannot imagine her sense of loss and I know everyone has their own grief process so I really try not to judge, but she makes everything about her grief. She didn't come to our college graduation because she would never get to see Jill graduate from college. We try to be especially kind to her on Mother's Day, but she spends hours at the cemetery and gets very irate if we leave before she's ready to. She insists we give our first child her husband's name as a first or middle name and gets angry when we say we'll name our future children as we see fit. There have been other incidents, too. She's done so much to push Joe away while also relying on him for emotional and sometimes financial support. They have a very unhealthy relationship now. It came to a head when we were wedding planning. I invited her to come wedding dress shopping with me, my mom, my grandma, and my maid of honor. I told her she did not need to come if it was going to be painful for her, but she said she would be happy to. To all our surprise, she came and brought a wedding gown that Jill had purchased to save for her own wedding someday. She said it would help her if I tried it on and I did, which made her cry, but then she insisted that it was my dress and I didn't need to get another one. After multiple refusals, she pouted the rest of the time. It was so awkward for everyone. This led to a lot of drama, to the point where Joe, and me, but mostly Joe, did not want her at the wedding because we couldn't trust her to not cause some kind of scene and because we thought it would be terrible for her mental health. We asked her not to come and she agreed not to. I got to have a dance with my dad, and my mom surprised Joe by stepping in for a mother's dance with him. They smiled and laughed the whole time. It was the most special part of our wedding, to me. I recently changed my FB cover photo to a picture of Joe and my mom dancing and laughing. Jean saw this and has been coming at us for it, saying it's just a reminder that she was excluded from her son's wedding day. I told her I'm not taking it down and that if she doesn't want to see it, she can simply not look at my FB. She says I am inconsiderate of her feelings and that I am an off for this because it drives another wedge between her and her son. Am I the a-hole for excluding my adopted sister from family photos? I am 26F and my adopted sister Ally is 14F. The way we're related is that my younger brother Michael, 24M, has been with his wife Maya, 24F, since their freshman year of high school. Maya and Ally had a really bad home life and my mom is very much a my home is open to everyone type of person, so over that year Maya began spending more and more time at our house, eventually bringing Ally over as well since she was always babysitting. By the time Michael and Maya were 16 years old, Maya basically lived in the guest room and Ally spent after school, most weekends, holidays, and summer vacation at our house. My mom and dad say that they love both Maya and Ally like their own children. My other siblings, 18M and 16F, also treat her like she's a part of the family. Even after Maya and Michael moved out, Ally is still at their house the same amount, if not more than she was before. Now to preface, I have nothing against Ally. She's a good kid and I make an effort to be nice to her. However, I've never really liked how she was foisted into our lives. She's not actually adopted and she still has parents and her own family. Yet my parents spend so much time and resources on her, it's ridiculous. Everyone else has started unironically calling her their daughter or sister and I've refused. I just don't consider her to be family. Anyways, I got married recently, which is where the issues start. I invited Ally to the wedding, of course, and she came with all of my other family. When we were doing pictures of the wedding parties, I decided that I wanted one with all of my immediate family, so my parents, my siblings, and Maya and Michael's daughter. My mom brought Ally up to come take the picture with us and I was forced to tell her no. My mom started to get upset but then Ally said it was okay and sat down by herself. My mom isn't a very confrontational person, so she didn't make a big deal of it, but then everyone else realized that Ally wasn't there and they got mad as well. Ultimately, we took the photo how I wanted it because they didn't want to do this at my wedding, but my entire family is mad at me now. My mom said that Ally cried when she got home because I don't love her, which I don't. I feel like they forced into a position where I had to do a bad thing by forcing this kid onto me. I don't think I should have to consider her family if I don't want to.